Hey ladies, welcome back to the Morning Coffee with me, your host, Morgan Tracy J. Today I'm coming with a message, and I honestly want to give you this little buffer before I jump into this message because this month is September when I'm recording this, and for the 30 days of September, we are doing the Esther Reset. And so if you didn't know about it, then here you know about it, girl. You're welcome to do it with us. I only took 30 spots and those filled up pretty fast, but I'm still going to be dropping videos all month long here on YouTube for those women, but also for you. So I believe there's going to be something you can gain from this. And so yeah, we're on the Esther Reset, which is 30 days of like health and fitness and faith, okay? So I'm really pushing this because there's some things God really put on me this summer, and he had to show me, honestly. And so today's title is Breaking the Addiction, okay? And I know you may look at me and think, well, Morgan, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't gamble. What are you addicted to? And the truth is, sometimes we think of all those as a big addictions, and we don't think about the everyday things that we do all the time as an addiction, okay? And so right now, and I've been sharing this a lot on my channel, I've lost quite a bit of weight, but I realized something. It wasn't just about the working out and the eating better, because I couldn't eat better for nothing. It's like I could work out sometimes, but it was the eating. My eating was so bad. And what was happening is I had a lot of addictions. And also, as a woman, before I got married, I lived on my own for a long time. And so if I ate bad, if I ate a whole pizza, if I wanted to eat a whole tub of ice cream, I could eat that. Nobody was there to like judge me or correct me, okay? And so, in a way, I built some really bad habits with living on my own. And I did a lot of emotional and stress eating. And so then when I'm starting to try these workout journeys and I'm like, gosh, God, why does it feel like I can't lose the weight? Even though I'm going to the gym, even though I'm drinking more water, whatever. But it was my overindulgence, okay? And let me tell you, I would stop at the store all the time and buy some gummies, okay? Sour gummy worms were my thing. I would buy a pizza and tell myself I'm only going to eat 2 slices, but real quick I would be on slice 4. Nobody was there to judge me, right? Also, too, sometimes I would tell myself I'm going to make something for dinner and then make something for lunch tomorrow, and I would put the lunch stuff away and still end up eating the lunch stuff later on that same day, because I was overindulging, and really I had some addictions to overeating. I noticed that I went from eating really smaller things to now I'm eating bigger and bigger plates of food, okay? And multiple big meals, all right? And so what I realized is that I had an addiction, even though I'm saved and I love the Lord and I don't drink or smoke or do these other things. I still had some addictions, because when it was time to cut those things off and say, Morgan, cut off the food, cut off that type of food, cut off those gummies, cut off that chocolate, I struggled, girl, okay? I struggled. And I will say though, but once I cut those things off, the weight fell off of me because it was more attached to the addiction than it was what I was thinking. I thought it was like, do I have PCOS, God? Do I have something going on in my body? No, girl, you are just addicted to food, and you are overeating, overindulging, and you are always trying to find something to put in your mouth when you don't have to be that way. When you're always thinking about food, you're always thinking, what's the next meal? Food was that took up a lot of my mental space, honestly, and I don't think I realized that. But it took me fasting, praying, and God showing me different addictions in my life. And so this morning for the Esther Reset, we were on a Zoom call. I was on the Zoom call with about 30 ladies, maybe 20, 30 ladies. And I'm telling them about this revelation. This is why I created the Esther Reset, because some of us don't realize. We say that, oh, I'm just this size, or I'm just thick, my body's always been like this. But really, sometimes there are some things we have been addicted to. And all that fat is stored up energy, okay? That's all fat is. It's just stored up energy. And it's just stored up energy that your body's storing for maybe a later date because we're overeating in excess. And so now what this Esther Reset is to do is to release that stored up energy, to let that stored up stuff go so that we can fully be who God has called us to be. And so I'm chatting with the girls today on Zoom, and I'm telling them about my addiction with these sour gummy worms. I was getting some every day just about, and I knew I was doing, and it's after I got married. I said my husband would be like, you're eating those worms, those candies, and then he'd be another day like, you're eating those again, you must really like those. And I started to notice I was eating them so much that now I'm going to eat them secretly in my car before I come in the house, so I don't have to hear him say, like, you're eating those again? Like, that's not good to eat every day now. You know, like that's kind of, he wasn't like, he was just kind of like, huh, like I get it if you want to have something, but like you're eating those every day, like that's not good, right? But it was an addiction, right? And I didn't see it as that way at the time, but I just thought, well, this is like my favorite candy, but it was actually my favorite. It made me feel good. I love that stuff. And it was maybe some emotional eating as well tied into that. But I remember I would be in my car secretly eating these gummy worms, okay? Secretly eating these gummy worms. And all of that to say that there are so many of us that have these things in our lives. We know it might not be gummy worms for you. It may not be cigarettes. It could be soda. It could be ice cream. And when we were on live today, a girl said, mine is ice cream. So that is the thing for these 30 days you have to cut off. It might be, it might be a certain drink that you're doing in excess. It might be a certain type of food. Or it may not just be a certain type of food. It might be what you're putting on your plate. You might tell yourself, oh, I'm only going to have this, but now you're going back for seconds or thirds, that may be what's happening. But I want to remind you, gluttony in the Bible, gluttony is an excessive or habitual or overindulgence, okay? And a big sign of gluttony is when you lack self-restraint, when you can't hold back. And I knew it when I would see gummies. Almost like or if I drove past a gas station or a store, it's like I almost would just naturally start pulling in there, okay? Because there was no self-restraint anymore, okay? And I remember I was at this thing this summer, and I was at this like a symposium, and I was at this event, and there was this middle big bow, and they had all this chocolate in it. And I'm walking by, and I said, ooh, Reese's. I love chocolate. I go in there, and I put my hand in it. I'm about to grab this candy of Reese's. And then it dawns on me, Morgan, this is your 30 days of none of this stuff right here. And so I just let it go. But it was such a habit to say, ooh, my favorite chocolate, let me grab it, without a thought. Knowing, sis, you've been putting enough of this chocolate and enough of this stuff in your body for ages now. You can go a year without eating this stuff and you will be fine, okay? You got enough of that in your body. So I'm trying to open up your mind to possible addictions in your life that may be causing you to have lethargy, or that may be causing you to have excessive weight, that may be causing you to have extra pressure and mental load than what you need. And I will say, you guys, it feels really great at times to wake up now 27 pounds down, to wake up and know I'm not the size I used to be. That weight feels good. Also, when I was at 198 pounds, I was so sleepy. And now, granted, today I still be sleepy sometimes, but the tiredness I felt, I was always so tired, okay? And I'm saying that again to you guys. I was always so sleepy, and I know now it was the excessive weight on my body, okay? And so when I started to lose the weight, I started to notice more energy. I felt better. I had a lot more mental clarity. I was using my mornings with the Lord, and I want to tell you that. Just remember to invite the Lord in to your weight loss, to your journey, but also be willing to give him your addictions. If you notice you're eating ice cream all the time in the evening, or you always got to have that big bowl of popcorn and girl, you finish it to the last kernel. If that is you, give that to the Lord and say, okay, God, help me work through this addiction, because gluttony is a sin. And I know that there's a lot of us, pastors, leaders, who you can tell our sin is gluttony, okay? You can tell, all right? And so I pray and hope that you can work through this and ask the Lord, what is your addictions? And don't think because it's not cigarettes or alcohol or gambling that it's less of a sin now because it's ice cream or it's a sour gummy that you're eating every day. Gluttony is gluttony. And so I want to encourage you today to really work through breaking the addictions in your life, because when you can break that addiction, you realize that it breaks off everything else. When I broke the addiction of my eating, the weight started melting off because now that addiction is broken. So I'm not telling you to just try to lose all the weight. I'm telling you to break the addictions in your life, because when you break those addictions, everything else will fall off. All right. And I'm a living testimony right now. I'm down 27 pounds, and the pounds wouldn't move until that addiction broke, until that sugar addiction broke. That's the only time the pound started moving. But until then, it would not move. And I'm not telling y'all I wasn't eating regular. I was still eating pizza and carbs and my pasta, but it was the excessive, the thing I was overindulging in, the thing that I was getting every day, the sneaky thing, the thing I kept trying to sneakily eat. That was the thing that when I broke those things off, that's when the pounds started melting away. And so my hope and prayer today is that you will break. You will be aware of the addiction. You will give that to the Lord, and you will allow you and him to walk this path out together so that addiction can be broken. All right? I'll see you guys tomorrow.